Hello and welcome to World News on TVP World. I'm Marie Keita. The conclave to elect Pope Francis' successor will begin on May 7th. Some 135 cardinals from 70 countries are eligible to participate in the gathering due to take place at the Sistine Chapel. During the conclave, cardinals debate who is the most suitable to lead the Catholic Church in the coming future. Each day, the cardinals will ask questions and make statements regarding the future of the Roman Catholic Church. Beforehand, however, they must make themselves familiar with cardinals from 70 countries around the globe. The entire process is kept hidden, with electors swearing an oath of secrecy before entering the discussion chamber. During the conclave, cardinals will stay in the House of St. Martha, where Pope Francis spent his past 12 years. It will mark the first time electors will stay in a residence of a former pope. The next German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, has announced the names of his Christian Democratic Union Party colleagues who will serve as cabinet ministers in the Bundestag. We are now joined by our EU correspondent, Angela Skujins from Brussels. Good afternoon, Angela. Do you know who will hold some of Germany's most noteworthy portfolios?
Yes, so as you just said, party leader of the CDU, this is the Christian Democratic Union, Friedrich Merz, has tapped some senior MPs, to take on those top jobs. Now, what we know is one of these includes Johann Weidelful. Now, he will become the new foreign minister, top diplomat. He is a Conservative MP, a former soldier and lawyer. He is also a staunch supporter of Ukraine, as well as sending military support from Germany to that country as it battles another year of Russian invasion. He has also been a vocal critic of US President Donald Trump as that leader attempts to broker a ceasefire which could result in Ukraine giving up some of its territorial sovereignty. Another important appointment is Katharina Reiche. Now she'll take on the energy and economy portfolio. This is one of the hardest jobs as Germany is in the midst of another year of an economic recession, job stagnation, but she is most fitting. Her last name means rich in German. She's also the former CEO of a massive German energy company. She's also campaigned for nuclear. She says that Germany can no longer continue to bury its head in the sand and must look at alternative power sources to bring that country into the energy future. Other positions will most likely be filled by the Social Democratic Party. This is the SPD. Now, the CDU and the SPD formed a coalition at the beginning of this month. We're expecting at least 6 party members from this political group to helm some of those top positions, but it's widely expected that Boris Pistorius, this is the former German defense minister, wildly popular in that country, will continue helming that top job, but we're not totally sure how he will do so. He has formally railed against Germany sending early military support to Ukraine, but we've just heard from the European Commission that Germany intends to apply to trigger its national defence escape clause to spend more on defence in the EU without falling foul of some of the EU's fiscal rules. But a vote in that party will take place on Wednesday. That's when we're expected to see a full list of names, with the government expected to get cracking, start work on May the 6th. But that's all from me. I'll send it back to you.
Angela Skujins reporting live from Brussels. Many thanks for your report. On Sunday, Polish President Andrzej Duda made a surprise appearance at presidential candidate Karol Nawrocki's campaign rally in the city of Łódź, delivering a scathing critique of what he called Europe's liberal left elites. Andrzej Duda accused them of facilitating the removal of the United Right from power in Poland.
Jeżeli ktoś korzystając z tego
It's nothing short of hypocrisy using the support of the liberal left elites who for decades have occupied all the institutions of the European Union and who in fact did everything so that their ally Donald Tusk and his team won the elections by removing the United Right from power so that Poland would not operate on different principles than they wish. They were able to lie for years. They were able to deprive Poland of funds, block access to these funds, and today they pretend not to see that against the law, against the decision of the Electoral Commission, today the main opposition party was deprived of funding.
On Monday in Warsaw, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk and U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright signed an engineering development agreement between a Polish nuclear power plant and the Westinghouse Bechtel Consortium for the construction of Poland's first nuclear power plant. Both officials spoke at a press conference following their meeting.
Polska strona starała się.
The Polish side tried to make this agreement better from the point of view of our interests and our partners as well. Thanks to this agreement, we've adjusted many key issues in 16 areas. Thanks to this, I think this has become more secure. Guarantees give us all a sense of security in this investment.
Energy cooperations are long-term partnerships. They count on societies and people and governments being aligned, not just a short-term business transaction, but actually a partnership where investments are made years ahead of time before the benefits flow. You must have a tight partnership. It is not a coincidence that the first of this next generation nuclear reactor technology that will be built in Europe will be built here in Poland.
U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Vladimir Putin to, quote, stop shooting, sit down and sign a deal. Speaking before his return to the White House, Trump also commented on his brief meeting with Volodymyr Zelenskyy in the Vatican.
Well, I want him to stop shooting, sit down and sign a deal. And we have the confines of a deal, I believe. And I want him to sign it and be done with it and just go back to life. I think the meeting went well. We'll see what happens over the next few days. We'll probably learn a lot. I was very disappointed that missiles were flying by Russia, but that missiles were flying. Very disappointing. We'll see how it goes. On the Iran situation, I think we're doing very well. I think a deal's going to be made there. That's going to happen. Pretty sure it's going to happen. We'll have something without having to start dropping bombs all over the place.
German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius has said that U.S. demands for Ukraine to cede territory to Russia is a step too far. In a televised interview, Pistorius recommended that authorities in Kyiv not accept these terms, as it would be akin to, quote, capitulation.
Of course, Ukraine has known for some time the sustainable, trustworthy ceasefire agreement or peace treaty may or will lead to the cession of territory. But these will certainly not go as far as they do now, or must not go as far as the latest proposal by the American president. After all, Ukraine could have had what was in it on its own a year ago. It is akin to a capitulation. Therefore, I cannot discern any added value.
Europe's ceasefire proposal includes U.S. security guarantees and no recognition of Russia's illegal occupation of Crimea, according to Reuters. Our correspondent Don Arlith has more.
In somewhat of a dramatic turn of events, we see this week a very different stance coming out of the United States. And of course, the Reuters news agency has reported that it has seen a document that was released by the Europeans to the United States over what a potential peace settlement may look like here in Ukraine. Now, it is very different than what we've heard last week when the United States was proposing that Ukraine essentially cede Crimea and give up any hopes of reunification with the peninsula. Now, this European peace plan sees Ukraine commit unconditionally to a ceasefire, both on the land, in the air, and at sea. And of course, negotiations would then be required right away. No conditions, and of course, Ukraine very happy with this agreement, it appears, because Ukraine will have the freedom of association with whatever countries it wants. It will also have security guarantees by the United States, according to this document in this European plan. Also, an Article 5 like NATO security guarantee even is being floated in this plan, as well as no limitations for the defense forces of Ukraine. These are all absolute essential elements. We've seen President Zelenskyy meeting with Donald Trump at the St. Peter's Basilica for the Pope's funeral, and of course a very different tone of conversation. This is our first eye-to-eye meeting since, of course, that disaster of a meeting at the White House just a couple months ago. So perhaps the United States stance could be changing towards Ukraine, as Donald Trump has said that he thinks Vladimir Putin is not willing to play ball here. Therefore, Ukraine is a bit more optimistic concerning this particular deal. And of course, this will be a very pivotal week, as Secretary of State Marco Rubio has previously said that the U.S. patience for settling this matter, well, it does have time limits. We don't know what those limits are. However, this week could be pivotal in trying to forge some kind of ceasefire and some kind of peace negotiations moving forward. Reporting from Odessa, Don Arleth, TVP World.
Vladimir Putin has just announced a three-day ceasefire for May 9th celebrations, according to Kremlin sources. It will go into effect from midnight on May 8th and last until midnight on May 11th. More on that story later. Meanwhile, North Korean authorities have confirmed that the regime has sent troops to fight alongside Russian forces in the Kursk region. This is the first time North Korea has officially confirmed to sending soldiers to fight the Ukrainians.
In a statement released by the state-run KCNA news agency, the North Korean Workers' Party described the deployment as, quote, the highest level of militant friendship. The Central Military Commission of the party stated that Kim Jong-un authorized the deployment based on a strategic partnership he signed with Vladimir Putin last year. In the release statement, Kim praised the North Korean soldiers who participated in the clashes in Kursk, calling them, quote, heroes and representatives of the honor of the motherland. The announcement came soon after the commander of Russia's 810th Brigade stationed in Kursk told Vladimir Putin that the remaining Ukrainian soldiers in the region would soon be destroyed.
According to the latest report of the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, the world experienced the largest year-on-year increase in military spending since the end of the Cold War. In 2024, global military expenditure reached over $2.7 trillion, which marks an increase of 9.4% from the previous year. According to the report, the current top 5 military spenders worldwide are the United States, China, Russia, Germany, and India. These 5 countries account for 60% of the global total. In Europe alone, military contributions rose by 17%, with all countries except Malta increasing their military budgets. Several European countries also saw unprecedented hikes in their defense spending. This includes Germany, which increased its military budget by 28% and became the biggest spender in Central and Western Europe for the first time since the reunification of Germany. Germany is closely followed by neighboring Poland, where military spending grew by 31% and in 2024 represented 4.2% of GDP. 68 people have been killed and 47 wounded in a U.S. military airstrike on a Houthi stronghold in Sada, Yemen. The strike hit a detention center hosting more than 100 African migrants. U.S. military operations targeting Houthis have intensified since President Donald Trump took office. Earlier this month, at least 74 people were killed in the deadliest U.S. strike to date on a fuel terminal on the Red Sea. Washington has pledged to continue its attacks on the Houthis until they cease assaults on Red Sea shipping. The Houthi rebels, who have seized significant territory in Yemen over the past decade, have launched numerous drone and missile attacks on Red Sea vessels since November 2023, claiming they are targeting ships associated with Israel in support of Palestinians amid the conflict in Gaza. And this brings us to an end of 2 p.m. news on TVP World. Thank you for joining us, and make sure you stay with us for more news and analysis on TVP World. Goodbye.